It's been over a month since the last App Lab, and I'm going to talk about why on the stream in a minute. Since it's been a little while, I thought I'd re-familiarize myself with my workflow for putting these streams live by sharing it with you. So this is Squares TV App Lab number 119, where I show you how to use the tools I've created to look better on video. I'm Michael Forrest, and I make Video Pencil, Shoot, and QCam Presenter. I'm on the beta today. I'm noticing that my headphone monitoring sounds crazy, but I checked on the thing and it should sound correct to you. So that means the thing I'm going to play at the end I might not be able to hear properly. Let's see. So updates. How is everyone? I've missed you. I've missed coming on here. I've got some reasons I haven't been here. So the first thing I was going to talk to you before we get onto the main thing, which is about the workflow for the live streaming, which is how I'm doing all this. Just to tell you where I was in January. Sound good? Click by click detours. Hello. Right. So basically, my dad died about a month ago, quite unexpectedly. He sort of just ended up in hospital for a few days. We thought he was going to be fine, and then that was it. So really kind of shocking. So it's only like, this is from 2 years ago when we ran 10K together on his 70th birthday. So, you know, I really thought he had another 20 years still. He leaves a legacy, not just as a father, but as a paleontologist. Here he is explaining a fossil to David Attenborough. Hi, everybody, and thanks, Coach on Hi. Hi, Jeff. Hi, Philip. And yeah, he was the thing with it is he was in the middle of so many things, including sort of all these fossils he was preparing in his workshop. Here he is with one of his fossils. In fact, this is his here that you can see here. I've kind of brought it back with me. He found this when he was 19. Jeff, I'm really sorry to hear that. I'm really sorry to hear that, Jeff. So yeah, like he was doing all these fossil preparations. Like this, like my dad, in some ways, we both did websites and stuff, but when he was 19, I heard from his brother, he carried this thing home in a backpack, in a rucksack, like an army rucksack, from like Lyme Regis to Reading, hitchhiking. So he took this in a backpack, like over 100 miles, hitchhiking to get home. Obviously, it was like all in rock, and that had to be prepared and set in plaster. So this guy, like, we're very different in some ways. I've never been into that messing around in the mud looking for little bits of bone. But anyway, yeah. To be honest, like, I didn't have the easiest relationship with him. I made a short speech at the funeral, which really took everything I've learned about writing and public speaking to tell a story that would frame our relationship in the best way I could think of. So I'm going to put there is a recording of that, which I am going to just play us out with. So I'm going to put that on at the end. I still haven't rewatched it, but yeah, I basically I sort of ended up kind of making myself QCam style cue cards that I could sort of hold in my hand, because it's just 10 cards, and I felt like that was going to be the best way to deliver it. I really think like having card by card, you break up what you want to say across the cards so that there's pauses when you're changing cards. So that's what I did. But yeah, so that's what was happening there. But so coming back to the reason for the stream, I was so QCam beta. So I was away for 2 weeks, but so we went to Italy. And I got the beta 24 out before I left, and then I was working up to when it was time to get in the taxi to get to the plane on Monday morning. Excuse me. And I somehow I did not pick up my laptop and put it in my bag, which I realized when we were halfway through the flight. Am I peaking a bit? I think I might be peaking a bit. I'm just going to bring that down a bit. So I couldn't actually do any programming or anything for 2 weeks between being in Italy and then coming back for the funeral, which was on Friday. So I came back last week. So I did send out an email saying last chance to test. I will be working through the remaining issues with the beta now once the live stream's out of the way. And here's what's left basically. So we've got like a couple of people were seeing a crash on the onboarding. There's some fit and fill stuff, layout stuff, like the camera being behind the content. Some of this, and this stuff is so trivial to fix with the new engine, but it's just like, yeah, we've just got to make sure we get them all. This infernal Osmo camera crop. The Osmo cameras give you like a vertical video with like a horizontal one in the middle. Thank you, Neil. So I've just got to make sure, and that I had to do loads of work to make it work properly in the old version, and I realised I haven't done that for the new one. But it should be pretty straightforward. There's some weird stuff with shoot disappearing, but yeah, there's not too much stuff here. Assuming I don't create new problems when I fix them, I'm hoping by the end of this week we should be in pretty good shape. So yeah, that's where the beta is, and so now, I've been away for a little bit, and I sat down this week and said to myself, I was like, I need to do a. I wrote one thing about because I really had an interesting experience writing this speech. How to sort of taking down thoughts for days and days and collecting things and just trying to sort of find a story in there. And I really learned a lot about what story really means, but it's quite hard to. If I use this as an example, it's quite an intense example to use. So I think I will try and come up with something else that explains the process in slightly less grief-ridden way. So that was the first idea for this week's stream. But then this morning I was like, what do I usually do? And I realized that I've never really explained my live streaming process. And actually I kind of need to refresh myself as well. So so we're gonna so I'm going to talk about what I do, but then I'm also thinking like maybe it might be time to kind of rethink the format a little bit. So it's sort of like, yeah, we'll see where we are. So this is my live streaming workflow. So I started doing Squares TV App Lab live every week or two over I don't know, like 2 or 3 years ago now. This started out as something for the very audio video discerning audience of Office Hours Global people. So I was in there that, after hours is the sort of place where they collected. I think it had, it died down a bit like post COVID. It's been on a sort of steady, so I wasn't sort of getting that audience for free, and so I did move over to the live stream. But I did feel that because everyone has a really good camera, really good audio, really kind of like tight production, and they have a team behind their thing. But I sort of wanted to kind of do something like that. That would stand up in that kind of context, and then if it can stand up in that community, then hopefully it can stand up anywhere. So I thought, if I was going to keep people's attention and not look stupid, I'm going to need a process. And so what I'll show you today uses some bespoke tools that I've been able to create as a software developer, among lots of other things that you don't have to be a developer for. But I will be including some stuff about this. And in LLM times, large language model times, Claude Code, whatever, I might not have bothered going into this because it would have just been a bottleneck for most people. Like if you haven't got my coding experience, you can't spin up these tools. But these days, spinning up quick tools like mine is actually possible using tools like Claude Code with little to no programming experience. So I don't expect your stream or process to, follow my exact process. Everyone is different, but instead I'm hoping you'll take inspiration from what I'm doing when you're kind of creating your own thing that works for exactly your needs and see what can be done with little bespoke tools along the way. So first, what are the streams like? Well, this is one of them. I'm live. I'm doing one of them now. I'm kind of conscious that my camera's a bit low is the only thing. I feel like I need to like bend my knees a little bit to be in the right place. So my streams, I would say, have a decent production values and pretty tight delivery. I'm not kind of like umming and ahhing generally because I do know what I need to say. I have it up on the teleprompter. So I feel like I'm going for more of a TV feel or like live TV than like a streamer where you sort of turn up and sort of kind of like get distracted constantly. I think this is a bit more sort of on the rails. So I go live. It's usually about 40 minutes or longer if there's a lot of chat interaction. I have my title sequence, I've got the background music, I've got a few different segments, I've got my sort of weekly updates, and then stuff like this, which is the the main content. And when I'm live, I'm using a teleprompter to see my script, my program preview, any chat messages are just kind of coming up there, so I don't have to be ever looking away from the camera unless unless I'm sort of drawing a picture, I'm kind of looking down a bit, but that's okay. Everything's in my eye line. And then as part of the stream, I do have a mailing list, and I send an email with a link to the stream and a link to a blog post, which has basically the same content as the stream, so that that blog post can be either something you look at instead or alongside the stream, and then also Google and ChatGPT can be indexing that along the way as well. So to prepare for the stream, here's what I do to prepare each week. So I make a blog post, I make a thumbnail, I schedule a live stream, I send an email, I turn the blog post into a QCam script, and then I do all the AV stuff, set up my mic, camera, lights. So that's basically the overview. I could have probably bullet pointed that. So I like to start from a blog post. As I say, it means that I've got a new tutorial on the site. The content's available in text form as well as video, and I'm pretty sure this has helped the LLMs to absorb and recommend my tools. So it's not just for SEO even these days. And then I use Coda, which is this it's kind of like what's the other one? There's another one that lots of people use, but it's it's sort of like a database type document. You can have tables in there. They can reference each other, but you can also edit. It's got a WYSIWYG editor where I can sort of like paste images and write the content up. So unfortunately, I didn't have a screenshot for that, but I would like to. So it's just like a text editor, like Notion, basically. But because it's this online platform, it means that there's an API that I can then kind of pull that content, synchronize it to my web server, and then that turns into a post on my website. So the only thing I have to do to make the Coda API work is I've got this little Chrome extension that I made. So any images that I put in, they're hosted by Coda, but they don't come through properly. So I've had to make this little Google Chrome extension, which gives me a little right-click menu, turns the images that I've pasted into something that will come through on the API. So that's the first little kind of random thing I've ended up making there. And then when the post is done, I've got a sort of table full of all the docs. It kind of has a published date down here. There's like YouTube video IDs in there. There's kind of like categories and all that kind of thing. And then that gets pulled onto my website by some bespoke code via the API and pulled out into my own database, and then that goes up, and that's what people see. So it can now be synced. There's an admin page. I just click on a thing, sync posts. It syncs them over if it works. Sometimes it doesn't work. I have to go troubleshooting, which is a bit stressful when it's kind of like I've left it a bit long and suddenly the post isn't syncing. But that ends up on the server, and now it's got a proper link, right, with a proper title of the blog post. And next thing, so once I have that blog post, I now have so Coda. I feel like I have mentioned Coda before, but what Coda is really good because you can sort of make buttons to do things, and you can create tables, and you can create content. And so I can sort of like make a little form in Coda, which is kind of my email template form, which is all the things that are needed to create the email. So like the main headline, like a little preamble, what's the post type, what's the main body, and then I can have like a secondary thing and a third thing. And then if there's any photos, I've got a little acknowledgement section. So this is sort of like, and then it sort of makes me add a thumbnail and makes me put in some links, but I'll show you that in a second. And then there's a compose column in Coda, which you can sort of template out what you want it to be, and then that actually kind of creates some markdown from those fields. So basically, each email is a record in Coda, which then one of those columns kind of turns that into the markdown format, which is what I need for my email system. So each week to make the thumbnail, each week I copy the previous week's thumbnail, so you see all the different thumbnails kind of down here. So I just like select the latest one, which would be, I guess, here. Yeah, this one. And then just Command D to duplicate that, and it goes to the right, and then sort of delete what I don't want on it. But you sort of keep the little App Lab banner and the title font and things like that. And then to make the sort of transparent headshot, so you see my I think this is going to be a bit small, but can I zoom? Can I zoom? Would you let me zoom? It's not letting me zoom. That does. Oh, that should zoom. Okay, we've found another bug. Oh no, it's because it's I don't know. Anyway, like I like to have my face on the thumbnails. So to do the transparent headshot, I'm just going to show you how I do that in QCam. So in QCam, you can go into the output menu up at the top, and there's a save current frame option, and then you can bring that in and use this remove background feature. You see it's like finding the edge within preview. So just open it in the preview app, the default app for images on your Mac. Use preview, remove background, which is just literally Command Shift K, and then that gives you a transparent thing, which is pretty good for most purposes. Just copy that and just paste it straight into Figma. And then in Figma, I have two standard exports. My process with the images, the reason sometimes I'm surprised by an image not being present is because I forgot to right click on the image and do my little Chrome extension thing. So it didn't get ingested into the script. It's kind of annoying. I wish they'd just make it always include the images without me having to jump through the extra hoops, but it means I haven't got a picture of this. So I just make it, there's two image formats. So I do a full size one, like 1080p export for the thumbnail, and I do a small one, which is like 400 pixels wide, which is for the email. So that it just like is a nice, it sort of like doesn't blow out the email layout on different devices, because it's much harder to control formatting in an email. So I just use a smaller image. So I just pull that out like that. I'm creating the live stream. I have a couple of buttons in my system. So one is like copy the title, so it creates the title from the headings, and then the next one is copy event body, and I've also got the copy markdown, which takes that templated thing. So they're just buttons, and they put it on the clipboard. The next step, so creating the live stream involves in QCam. You click there on go live, and then all of your channels that are in QCam, you'll be able to click under there like new stream. So if I wanted to stream on Video Pencil, I'd go there, but I want to stream on QCam Presenter, so you can just click new stream. It sort of gives you a description field, the thumbnail, but it will sort of remember what your previous one was as well, and what your privacy was. The start time, it will try and come up with a good guess of when the start time might be, but I use those subject copy event body buttons to fill this in, basically. And then I drag in the large thumbnail from my desktop into here, and then just hit schedule now, and that just like uploads it, creates the thing, and then just gives me a link that I can now add back in. And then if I remember, once I've got the live event, I go and update my doc index with the YouTube ID. So that it includes, so that when you see the web page, you get the video at the top instead of just the thumbnail. And now I'm ready to send the email. So back in the email template, I can now add the YouTube link and the small thumbnail image. I drag the small thumbnail into Coda and then right click to copy it. So what Coda's kind of good for is anytime you add an image, it kind of puts it on its like image hosting thing. So I just tend to lean on that. So I'll upload it to Coda. It'll kind of like save it somewhere, and then I'll just right click and copy that link and then put that into the email. And so then so you'll see here, I've pasted the thumbnail, that's got a YouTube link in it, it's got a post link in it now. So that means this button works, that means this has the right thing here. And basically this is a preview of what that email will look like. So I could just like sanity check it before I take it to my platform. Once all that's filled in, I can go copy markdown, and I have basically a hand-built email system on Squares TV which uses Mailgun to send emails. You might just be on MailChimp, so you'll probably have a different workflow if that's the case. But basically this is what my email system looks like. You see, like I was having memory problems, so it's using way too much space for like how much memory have I got. Finally figured it out this week, actually. Coming back to my desk, this page kept crashing, and I was like, my server's really slow and keeps crashing. Turned out it was because I'd made a mistake at some point, and I wonder why Coach Don High DFW's comment is not showing up in my teleprompter. um, but I will look at that. I'll look down at that. But yeah, this is kind of my bespoke that you see. Like I was troubleshooting because it does add in a like calendar invite as well, which I'm troubleshooting there. So you can sort of like ignore all this mess. I've got like how can I filter who I'm sending the emails to? What's the campaign ID so I can see who clicked on each one? How many are left to send? Like this is I'm going to send it to a test email address. And then I just paste in the markdown there and the subject there, and then I've got like send X thousand emails at once, and then once that's done, I just sort of go and make a cup of tea, because if I touch it, if I do make a wrong move, it can sort of like interrupt the sending or the thing crashes. So it's one of those. So just to say, can I? It doesn't let me do a site. Oh, I bet it would with this. Yeah. Okay. So I see Coach says, I really need to start using QCam for my coaching and IG Reels and core offers and lead magnets. I need an A to Z tutorial so I can record and draw for coach plays and draw with iPad. There is Coach Don. There are a couple of specific coaching tutorials on the QCam website. If you just go to docs, if you go into qcampresenter.com, in the docs section, in the help section, there's like a section on coaching, and it will take you through all of that like step by step, and there should be a video in there, a live stream just like this. So if you want to see that, then just go to the website. You can even find it through QCam's menus actually. So in QCam you can search, if you search coach in the menu, it's literally going to go tutorials, remote coaching with QCam and Video Pencil, or transform your coaching, drawing on video with an iPad. So it's really easy to find those step-by-step guides. So the next step is preparing the QCam script. So that's what I'm going through now. I've got all the things I need to say. They're coming up. So in QCam, I load up the previous week's script. So you see we've got like, I've loaded up last week's, which has like my little title loop in here, and it has the background music in there, and it has like a title sequence down there, and some music. It stops the music, does all that stuff. So it has all my standard segments in it. So then I just use file duplicate to make a new copy and just, sort of like update the intro. I also kind of like multi-select all the cards that aren't relevant to this week and just delete those by pressing just the delete key. Coach, are you saying with the new code and functionality? Is this stuff has worked for ages. You don't really. It's all the same really. You can use QCam for what you want to do with the current version, and then the new one works exactly the same for now. So, it's just the under the hood stuff that's different. Now I've got a secret feature in QCam, which is this like download script, which will basically like pull down the blog post as a QCam script and synchronize all the images. And I've got like, if I the way I do it, if I have a video, I convert it into a GIF for the website, and then I pull down but then I also upload the original video so that QCam knows to kind of go and see if there's an original video and use that on the cards. So all these little things, but this is really just for me. But and this creates a new QCam script, which does need a lot of tidying up. It can do some weird stuff still. Like it's really just for me. And if I forgot to right click any of those images and like convert them, then they will be missing. So I always have to, if you've seen me kind of run through and I'm like, where's the thing? That's because this step didn't work quite properly. Nothing's perfect. If it's you're going to be back to Claude. Sometimes it doesn't do the things, and it's going to go, oh, well, what about we try this? And it's going to add 1,000 new lines of code, and you're going to be like, okay, it seems better now. But yeah. By the way, yeah, you don't actually need to you don't need the download script as video thing, because if you just copy a large block of text with images and paste that into QCam, it's gonna, you have to press escape so you're not inside a card text field. It's gonna turn it into a script using exactly the same algorithm. It's gonna bring in the images. It just might not do some secret video source, or GIFs won't work. So yeah. And then once I've got that, this is like the content file that's now ready. And so I save that script out. You see, I haven't actually saved it here, but the point is you can right click the first card and do copy deep link. And that's going to give a link to the first card of that script, which then means I can use the jump to dock feature. So I can add a new card in QCam with jump to dock, paste in that deep link. And now during the stream, what just happened when I came from updates and started this segment, it jumped to a different script. And so what's going to happen is when it lands on the card in the main script, it jumps to the other dock. And then once you've finished with the other script, then QCam's going to jump back to the main script again, to the next card, which is this one in this case. So I've put "and we're back" just to kind of just to feel confident and reassured that I have it all worked. Now the way it actually the way it knows to jump back is if stop is pressed, which happens if you press next at the end of a document. So if you were to press stop for some other reason, then it would actually go back to the previous script early. So you sort of have to remember that when you're working with QCam. Not everything's like perfect sometimes, but it's not exactly well documented. But this is how I do it, and if more people want to do it this way, then that's good. I can tidy it up a bit. So my live stream, and the good thing about this process is I've got my calls to action that always at the end of the thing. So I never get so carried away that I forget to remind you what to do at the end of the video. And then I also like to add in something, either like a video to play us out, or if I've had time, I might even play some live music. You can see behind me, I've got lots of gear for that. So next, so that's the script that we're going to go live with using QCam. And next, I'm just going to tell you a quick bit about the equipment I use. So I have did I not paste this in? Can I just show you that? I've got it here. Let's see what's going to happen if I drop that there. There we go. Okay. And can we zoom? We can zoom, kind of. It's a bit extreme. So what we've got here is, so I've got this Canon camera back here with this is a Canon R6, which is a relatively newer model camera, but there's a zoom lens which gives me a bit more adjustability, but that's on an adapter because it's from my previous Canon camera, and then there's an Elgato prompter hanging off that. So it's a bit tenuous, but I love the picture, and I like, it does eye focus kind of thing. So what we can do here is and then I've got, what we can do, I can just keep dragging the same picture on, and we can keep looking at it. Then I've got down here is a Rode NT 5th gen as my main mic, which I got because it's got 32-bit float, but it's also got some built-in DSP features like a compressor and EQ and stuff. Although I don't think I'm really using them because the Rode apps are so confusing. I will be putting some of that stuff into QCam at some point, just kind of richen up your voice a little bit. Also, this Elgato mic stand is invaluable. It's so much better than the cheaper ones that I've had. I've got a bit of messy acoustic foam on the walls, but I use QCam's voice isolation feature to make sure the mic sounds good and filters out the inevitable screams when Harvey gets back home from his daily travels, and he toddles back. I use a Stream Deck Plus with buttons to navigate my script, so I can just press next and previous and stuff. But actually, I like using the keyboard, left and right arrows, because it's just quieter than the Stream Deck. It's a bit less of a clunk, although with voice isolation, that doesn't really matter. And I also have knobs, the knobs push button actions hooked up to my light, so I can sort of press a button and bring the night lights, and it also kind of lets you kind of brighten and turn them up and down a bit. And then I use this really cheap little Bluetooth earpiece, which I have to say today is failing me in the monitoring. But this is just to monitor any music and video during the stream. So QCam lets you select a headphone output and only sends the right things to your headphones. So if you're playing back a video, or if you're playing some music, or doing a screen share or something, you're going to hear that, but you're not going to hear your mic, because that can just be really distracting. Although you can turn that on if you just want to do a sanity check on something, but it's off by default because if the software implicitly introduces a delay, which can be very distracting to hear yourself delayed. So next is the go live checklist. So I have a Apple shortcut that turns on my HomeKit lights. Um, well, I've got one HomeKit light. Oh no, I've got two because the lamp there, that's on a HomeKit thing. There's another light here that's on HomeKit. So I've got like this multi-action like shortcut. And then I also made the shortcut pop up an alert to say, don't forget to turn on your camera. Don't forget to turn on the colored lights because that's got this its own kind of awkward app that doesn't seem to like, connect with anything else. And make sure I turn off like the main light in the room and close the blinds. And then also when I press it again, it turns them off and reminds me, okay, I better don't forget to turn off the camera, right, and turn off these lights. So sometimes like just I press the button, but it also gives me an instruction, like a manual step that I have to do as well. And then I've got a key light on the Stream Deck Plus, which obviously I can just like twiddle the knob and change the brightness on that, which I'm doing now and messing up my picture probably. So that's an Elgato key light up there. And then I raise my standing desk so that I'm standing when I speak. I used to have the camera mounted to the desk so that it would go up with the desk, but I wanted to push it a bit further back, so that's made it a bit more awkward to raise and lower the desk today. I had to, so this is why I'm not quite happy with my position in frame, because it's a lot more awkward to keep it consistent now. So these problems that we have to figure out how to solve as we go. I've used QCam's built-in delay calculator to make sure my mic is in sync. Like, you do that once and you've got it. But like, if I've been fiddling with QCam or resetting settings or something, sometimes I like to do a sanity check once in a while. But you can always just record a video, see how that looks, and then if it's wrong, use the delay calculator. And I put QCam's teleprompter window on the Elgato prompter screen. So, which I am noticing is acting up today. So that's another beta bug for me, which is the teleprompter seems a bit crazy. I kept losing which camera to look at, so I need to fix that. I've got my laptop here, and then I've got a bigger monitor here. So if I am going to be sharing any windows, I'll kind of clear up my main desktop. Even though QCam will only show the window that you're showing, but it's nice to kind of like lay it out a bit better. And sometimes you do share the whole desktop. And then I'll just sort of put other things on the side monitor. But today I've just got the YouTube thing on there because I'm not sharing anything. And then I just press present on the main QCam script, which if it has a start time set, will put a big countdown clock. So if I'm less than an hour away, I'll put that on, and then I've got this huge clock kind of counting down in the room. So I sort of like can keep coming back and seeing how long I've got. And then that's everything set up. I've got my script, I've got the blog post, I've sent out the email, the camera's set up, everything's switched on, and then it's time to go for a walk. Right, this is essential for the transition from technical / preparation mode into performer mode. Right, we've got to kind of like loosen up, do some what do you do? Some vocal exercises. Just try and sort of like relax a little bit, because if I'm like, oh, something's not working, and I go on camera, it's just not going to be fun for anyone. Get some water, obviously, or I've got some juice here. So yeah, and then to go live in QCam, I just press connect, and that's going to connect to that YouTube stream, and it will start pushing out video. I can look at it in the dashboard. It'll link you. There's a link to the dashboard, but it won't be live until I press go live in YouTube or in QCam. And so I'll sort of do that like 10 minutes before maybe. And then maybe unmute it, check everything's okay again. Like, it's always the sound that's the most difficult thing to check in these things. I just turned my headphones off by touching it. And now chat messages start coming up in the teleprompter, which is handy, or they seem to have stopped, which used to be because I didn't have enough. I was running out of tokens on my account. So let me just see if that happened, because no, that hasn't happened this time. So it must be a different bug. Because I had like 10,000 YouTube requests, which actually gets run out really quickly when you're doing a lot of API calls. But I did jump through lots of hoops with YouTube, and now I've got 1 million, so that shouldn't be a problem anymore. Yeah, I can see the chat messages if they're coming on the teleprompter because it's connected, and we're ready to go. So just I used to go live, and so yeah, just a note on like the countdown clock. I used to sort of like go live 3 minutes early and then have the countdown timer going. I never really kind of like had any music on that screen, so maybe if I'd sort of like come up with a bit of music for that, then I would keep doing that. But honestly, now I just press live about 5 seconds before the top of the hour, and then just start straight away, just so people don't have to scan through a long video. Because I think it's fine. I think it's better if it's like short than kind of like you have this people. There's kind of an implicit waiting room before the stream on YouTube anyway, because it's kind of showing you the stream starts in 5 minutes, so people can be there, they can be chatting. I don't think we really need to have the video clock countdown, which is annoying because I really like the countdown. So yeah, and then I present in QCam and just like read from the teleprompter and keep pressing next. So I kind of like, it's going to bring in the right content, it's going to jump to the right things as I go. All I've got to think about is like, is this what just kind of read off what I'm going to say, or like ad lib a little bit, or go on a tangent, or like but all I really have to think of when I'm on camera is like next, next, next. I don't have to like remember which scene to jump to or anything like that. I'm just like, okay, good, we're live. Um, and then I can respond to chat messages as I go. I like to have them in the teleprompter in case anyone's saying we can't hear you, which often happens. And then you can either like sequence break by responding as messages come in, which sort of like keeps things from getting too kind of like turgid feeling, or like if it's a point I want to finish, then I'll wait for that and then respond. And I have the freedom to go off script whenever I feel like it, or share some other picture or video in the at any moment, thanks to the share bar in QCam. You can just drag anything onto QCam, it's going to share it, and then when you press next, you're going to be back on the script. So yeah, that's oh no, it says thanks for reading. So that's basically I knew I meant to update that. So that's basically my process. So we go from, it's very much driven and started with the content. I'm going to say thanks for reading. So it might seem like a lot, but I am doing a lot here. But I think the most important part is the writing, which is coming up with the idea, writing it all out. And really, if I to improve this, I think I would just, if I could just spend more time on like I did on this, doing a few more drafts, get it shorter, it's going to just make for better content. I really think the core of this is writing. And then beyond that, all these tools are designed to just let me focus on that, the writing and the performance, and not like tinkering with a million technical details along the way once I'm trying to be in that kind of performance mode. So I hope this kind of comes across well. I think I haven't really seen anyone doing it like this. I think this works really well. And you don't need someone else. Like, if you've got someone else to press the buttons or someone else to scroll the teleprompter, it's a whole different thing, right? But if you are just doing it solo like me, then these are the tools that I recommend, and and that I use, and that I'm always improving. So yeah, QCam gives me the confidence to work this way, and I just couldn't do this without QCam Presenter. And it should jump, and we're back. I see in my teleprompter, and we're back. So we know that we came back to the original script. Right. If you want to kind of like join the community, say hi, there's a Discord. So you can go to squares.tv/Discord. That's going to jump you into the server. And we can talk about all this stuff. You can ask questions, give me ideas for my next live stream. So, and there's other people that might be able to answer questions. It tends to be me answering questions still, even though there's a few hundred people in there, but maybe it needs to be more before I can really rely on other people to get there first. I see the messages straight away, so I'm usually jumping in. So yeah, I'm going to end with, so like, feel free to leave, but this is my speech. This is the 360p footage that they gave us of the live stream of the funeral. I can't believe this is like a in outside Nottingham kind of thing. This is not the Queen's funeral. This is like the funeral house gives you a live stream, and it's 360p, and the audio is pretty bad. But this is what I have. You can see me in the distance, and I have not looked back at this, so it's I just wanted to put it up there, put it up here, and you can choose to watch it or not. So thank you everyone for tuning in this week. We've had a few people. Again, really sorry, Jeff. That's terrible. And Neil, thank you. See you soon too. Yeah, we need to catch up, don't we? By the way, other news, I am gearing up to exhibit at NAB this year. So if you're anyway connected or going or know people that are going, we're going to have a stand there. We should be like, we've got to like lock it in still, decide exactly how we're going to do it. But the plan is to have a presence at NAB this year. So thank you for tuning in. Feel free to reach out about that. And here is me giving, not sugarcoating anything, but in a way that this is what it had to be for me. So here we go. Got myself some little cards ready. Hopefully I can get through this. My dad showed me what was possible. He got me started on all the things that make me who I am today. He's the one I wanted to impress. He's the one I wanted to beat. He was everything to me. But when I was 5 years old, he got lost. It's clear to me now that I have a son of my own how much was lost. My childhood took place during the most difficult years of his life, and I often found myself the focus of his rage and pain. He gave me everything he could, and I'm incredibly grateful, but he did so from inside an impenetrable shell. I left home the minute I could. Out in the world, I discovered that my version of normal was not anybody else's normal. But more importantly, I learned which things are always the same no matter who you are. When we hurt the ones we love, the regret does not just disappear by dinner time. It collects and hardens into something dark, something monstrous. How do you forgive yourself if you can't say sorry? I thought if he couldn't forgive himself, maybe I could. So I tried it. I said, I want a reset. Let's start again. But next time we hurt each other, we say sorry. And to my sublime relief, he agreed. I can't speak for him, but it meant the world to me. It let us go back to being human beings with each other. And I was proud of him. I was happy he found his purpose. I was happy when he found the thing he was best at in the whole world. I'm happy that he found friendship and community. I'm happy that he got to see all of his children find love and enjoy his grandchildren. I found myself bragging about him all the time. We spoke, if you can believe this, regularly. He got to see Harvey grow. He let me know that I was good enough. He showed me that he loved me. Now he's gone. I feel sad from my head to my toes. When I was 5 years old, I lost my mother and my father. I couldn't find a way back to my mummy, but I found a way back to my dad.